Welcome to Close Racing. Welcome to a platform for aspiring drivers. Welcome to the best in Formula F racing. Welcome to F1600 in Focus. Featuring the F1600 Formula F Championship Series, the Pacific F1600 Championship Series, and the SCCA US Majors Tour. Supported by Honda Performance Development. Welcome to episode 2, the mid-season report here on F1600 in Focus. I'm Jason Dukes along with our Formula F insider, Monty Matheson. Monty, take us in focus.
Well, Jason, we're going to start with rounds 3 and 4 of the F1600 Formula F Championship Series at Road Atlanta in early May. We're going to head out to the West Coast at Buttonwillow and Fontana, and then we're going to head to Road America for the June sprints. But first, let's talk to IndyCar driver Simon Pagenaud about his experience in Formula F cars.
I've been driving the Formula F. That was a lot of fun. It's a non-aero car, so it was back to my roots. I enjoyed it very much. It's a great product, very good product for the youngsters, but also for people who just want to drive on a racetrack over the weekend and compete at a good level. That car is very reliable. You can do as many miles as you want, and the maintenance is really cheap, which is great for racing.
That's some very interesting insight from Simon Pagenaud. Here we are at Road Atlanta for round number 3, and it looks like this start is going to get waved off, Monty.
Yeah, Jason, Adrian Starantino was not in his position there on the front row for an issue on the pre-grid. He got sent to the back of the pack and would wind up carving his way through the field to finish second for Brian HERTA Autosport in his McGall Honda.
Oh, here we go. In focus, we have a treat for you, a camera angle from turn 1 here at Road Atlanta.
And you can see Jake Edson and Aaron TELITZ there battle for the lead. Edson would go around in the spectrum and take the early lead.
We have some more footage here from Edson as he's in the lead, but as you said, he's going to get up there to turn 1 and not go too far.
Yeah, he wouldn't go too far at all here, right off the racetrack in turn 1. Maybe some car problems, maybe pushing too hard, and definitely some grass in the radiators.
Well, he made it back into the field, as you can see here, made it back into the field. Cut through some of the traffic there, but ended up not finishing the race.
Yeah, would drive right back to the front there. 2 cars in one corner. He's looking pretty pro, but would end up car-to-car contact, a DNF for Edson in round 3 here at Road Atlanta.
So now we're back up to Aaron TELITZ, who is in the lead, and and he spins in the lead all by himself.
Spins out of the lead. That's how competitive this series is. He's pushing 10 tenths and more, and he would fall back basically dead last, but a full course caution here as we go back to racing would help that for TELITZ to go back to the front.
Well, and this is how TELITZ made it back up to the front. There's a 4-car battle for the lead between Starantino, TELITZ, Ala Agren, and Steve Bamford. Yeah,
and here we go. White flag, last lap, 4 cars going for the lead. They're going to fan out going to turn 1. You're going to see 2 cars on the outside, 2 cars on the inside. This was awesome racing at Road Atlanta on a beautiful day.
Well, I'll tell you, even more awesome is let's get a replay from Steve Bamford just to see exactly what happened.
And Bamford's Masters class, these are kids he's racing against as he's looking for the lead there in turn 1, and Adrian Starantino across the bow a little bit.
Well, so here we go. Once again, another replay from Bamford, but now we're going to go up to Aaron TELITZ just to show us what happened on the final lap, and here we go.
Bamford going to the outside of Starantino. This is down the backstretch. TELITZ would go to the inside for Wisco, and TELITZ would bury it in under braking, nearly run off the track, but he would go on and take his first win, and for the first pro win for the Wisco team.
Yeah, 3 wide pass for the win. That's definitely going to go in his memory bank.
Yeah, and a good race at Road Atlanta. Good points for Aaron TELITZ. Good points for Wisco. Banner day for McGall yet again. 1, 2, 3 on the podium. As we're going to see the Vettel finger here from TELITZ.
Not the Vettel finger.
So TELITZ wins ahead of Starantino, Agren, Bamford, Colasco, ALSPACH, and more, and we're going to talk to him here in a second. All right, Aaron, take us through that race from the front to the back to the front.
All right, well, the start was really good. I got into turn 1 on the inside of Jake and it made him give up the corner a little bit. I think that put him back a little ways. It was clean racing. We were just both going for the same spot. And then I was out front by, I think I had maybe 5 or 6 car lengths or so on second place. And just all on my own in turn 5, I got up on the inside of the curb there, and the car just didn't like it at all. I don't know what it was. I mean, I've been up on the curb before, but that time it was really weird, and they just spun out all on my own, and I fell back to I think maybe 12th or 14th or something like that. It was a ways back, and I just started working my way up, and I was up to 8th place by the time the full course caution came out. And after the full course caution, I just started making my way to the front as fast as I could, and I got up I got up to maybe 4th place, I think, with 6 or 7 laps to go. And then just once I was in the lead pack, I just tried to position myself in the right place to be first coming across the line. And I found out that down the back stretch, the second place guy gets a good run on first place, but the third place guy gets a huge run because there's 2 of them that then fan. And so I wanted to be in 3rd place, and it worked out that I got myself into 3rd place in the last lap. It was all about positioning and then just executing the pass into turn 10, and then just holding it out front, down the hill, and around to the start.
And this is the part of the track that Aaron TELITZ was telling us about, the start-finish line, as we look ahead for the start of race number 2, round number 4 of the Formula 1600 F Championship Series.
No wave off this time. Jake Edson into the lead right at the start of the race.
Yep, now we go on board with Isla Agren, where you can see big racing ahead.
Yeah, almost 3 wide going for turn 1 as Paul ALSPACH goes on the outside of Agren. Now it's his second race of the year and second race of the weekend for that matter after he missed BIR in the Wisco Magal.
We go back up to our start-finish cam where you can see the big lead that Edson has got out to.
Broke the draft and Aaron TELITZ would lose time having to fend off Steve Bamford there.
We go on board with Edson where he's just on a rail.
On rails, exactly, Jason. And this was the only race of the year so far in this series where there hasn't been a last lap pass for the win. And after missing out on 2 wins at BIR after getting passed on the last lap twice, Edson would go on to take the victory by some 4.5 seconds. TELITZ would finish second after his first win on Friday. Bamford would round out the podium. And, you know, this could be a tire deal, too, where, you know, 6 tires for the weekend, Edson may have taken care of them more than the rest of the field. 1 DNF, Adrian Starantino, after finishing second, him and Edson definitely trading some points back and forth at Road Atlanta.
Now we move to round 5 of the F1600 Formula F Championship, and it wasn't Chamber of Commerce weather at Lime Rock Park.
40 degrees and raining all weekend, Jason. It definitely dealt competitors a curveball.
Yeah, well, we can see here from Aaron TELITZ's view, this is what it looks like from the driver's view. Not so good. Now over to pole sitter Aaron Starantino, and he's going to take us from the pole here at Lime Rock Park.
Yeah, another pole for Brian HERTA Autosport Cam. Adrian Starantino actually, and as a green flag flew, he would defend the low line going into turn 1. He didn't want anybody getting past him in the rain, and he needs to see too. He needs clear track ahead of him. There goes Paul ALSPACH on the outside. You know, we talked about him earlier in the show in Focus. 3rd start of the season, he's immediately into the lead, exiting Big Bend at Lime Rock. They got a car moving everywhere in the rain. It was damp, and actually outside of the S's here, there is a lake, so do not go off the track.
We'll get a different view here of the start from Edson's view. And as we saw Starantino going really gingerly, but there's Edson, he's not.
No, he's got this thing figured out in the rain, and you can listen to the throttle. He knows what to do, and can't see much back here. You know, a lot of spray on that camera, and he's now looking at, that's 3rd place, Aaron TELITZ ahead, and Edson go by on the inside. Almost gets Starantino there. They almost touch, actually. And Edson would slot into 3rd here, going down the no-name straight.
And so we move on a little bit later in the lap where he's still looking for that lead, has his eyes on the lead.
Yeah, but in 3rd now, Starantino's going to pull out, maybe to see clear track, maybe to take the lead. Edson down to the inside, going for turn 1. Ahead of the Magal now, puts the Spectrum for the Cape Motorsports into 2nd. ALSPACH still up in the lead, but that car's moving around a little bit. There's a little bit of a wiggle there going through Big Bend. I don't know if it was standing water or just driving on the limit. Now Edson sets his sights on the lead, and here we go. Right under the Magal of ALSPACH for the lead, and they would go side by side here for a couple corners in the wet at Lime Rock, and Edson would take it and pretty much just check out on the field.
He checks out, so let's see how the rest of the field is. We go back to Aaron TELITZ, who will eventually move back to 4th.
He'd finished 4th, little careful after a sizable crash earlier in the Lime Rock weekend.
And now Adrian Starantino with the battle for 2nd.
Yeah, Adrian Starantino looking for some more points, touches ALSPACH and spins, and he would somehow settle for 3rd. I think he got a bit lucky there.
Yeah, absolutely got lucky as we go back up to Edson, who's just in complete control.
That Spectrum from the Capes, again on rails. Edson would take his 2nd win of the year and a margin of victory in the 13-second range. He would run the fastest lap of the race, which was 0.3 of a second faster than anybody else. He would go on to take his 2nd win in a row over ALSPACH, Starantino, TELITZ, and Jim Goffrey there rounding out the top 5. Only 1 DNF, Isla Agren.
Well, the first few laps, I knew I was faster than most of the cars in front of me, so it's just a matter of, just planning out the passes correctly and, Yeah, I mean, the first few laps I was able to get wiggle my way up to first, and from there on it was just a matter of, you know, laying down some good lap times and creating a gap and just kind of working off of that.
Doubleheader weekend, here's race 2, the start of round 6 of the F1600 Formula F Series. Now, if you're on the front row, things are okay, but if you're not, look at what you get to see.
Yeah, as Jim Goffrey's going to pop out, just trying to see something going for turn 1 to see his braking markers.
We go on board with Paul ALSPACH, who's looking really racy.
Yeah, he'd actually set the fastest lap of this race, but wouldn't step on the podium like earlier in the day when he finished second.
Yep, and we move back to TELITZ, who's racing for third and moving forward today.
Yeah, feeling more confident after his crash earlier in the weekend. Here he goes around Jim Goffrey for the final step on the podium.
Now out to the front stretch with Isla Agrin.
She recovered well after a DNF earlier in the day at Lime Rock. Here she passes Sam Chastain, her teammate, very, very carefully on a very wet and slippery racetrack. Agrin would go on to finish 6th in the HERTA Magal.
Birthday boy Jake EIDSON, he's on a rail. Granted, it's a wet one.
Yeah, birthday weekend for EIDSON. He'd win both races at Lime Rock.
He did have to see some traffic there, but definitely got the win.
Expertly managed dicing through the field. His margin of victory wouldn't be as great in this race as opposed to 13 seconds earlier in the day. As Jason said, dealing with lap traffic, no problem in the Cape Motorsports spectrum for EIDSON. So we're going to take a look now at the results of the race. EIDSON, another win, second in a row, second at Lime Rock, would sweep the weekend ahead of Starantino and TELITZ. Goffrey would take the Masters Class victory in the Van Diemen in 4th, ALSPACH running up top 5, and we have Agrin, BAMFORD, Chastain, and more. Everybody finished, and a good celebration on the podium. So yeah, EIDSON there, that's a cold day at Lime Rock and cold champagne.
We'll take a quick look here at the F16 Formula F Championships schedule. We already did VIR, Road Atlanta, and Lime Rock, but coming up in July is Mid-Ohio, also back in Mid-Ohio in August, and then at Summit Point, and all of those will be part of the next F1600 in focus, the F1600 Summer Swing.
Now looking at the championship standings, it's almost a 3-car race at this point. EIDSON leading TELITZ by just a couple points, and Starantino still in the picture. Agrin and BAMFORD round out the top 5. This is going to be a tight championship.
Now let's go out to the West Coast for the Pacific F1600 Series. We'll start at Buttonwillow for triple header weekend. Monty, that's a lot of racing.
Yeah, great product offering for aspiring drivers. Rounds 3, 4, and 5, and lots of track time in Buttonwillow. Let's talk to one of them, Alex Keys, just 15 years old and having a great debut season so far.
5 years. I started in karts, and this is my first year in F1600.
How do you like it?
I like it a lot. It's taken a little bit to get used to because it's totally different from the car. So I've been working a lot on just maximizing the car.
So here we go with race number 1 of this triple header, which is round 3 of the Pacific F1600 Series, and we go on board with Joey BICKERS, who has a mirror-full of COLTON HERTA.
Both conserving their tires at Buttonwillow, Jason. BICKERS would go on to win, taking his first win of the Pacific Series, and also his first win in the Magal chassis after switching car packages there during a little break between Thunderhill and Buttonwillow.
We move on to race 2 of the triple header weekend, which is round 4 of the Pacific F1600 Series, and Alex Keys has drama at the start.
Cameron Racing Spectrum Honda now. Alex Keys going to lose a position to his teammate. He was looking good there on the start, bump drafting BICKERS a little, but would slot into 4th here heading for turn 1, and probably not the best thing to do, rear end your teammate, but Keys would recover for a 4th place run.
Speaking of teammates, here we go. HERTA and BICKERS. HERTA is filling up the mirrors of Joey BICKERS.
Yeah, HERTA stalking BICKERS yet again. This would be similar to the first race of the weekend. PR1 teammates sort of checking out on this Pacific field. Only difference between their cars are the red and black, both Honda engines, both Magal chassis.
Now here comes a race-changing moment.
BICKERS now going into this corner is going to miss a shift, and that would essentially be the race. It's just about to come up. There he goes around HERTA, flat spotting that right front, and BICKERS too, probably destroying his tires. And that would mark the 2nd win for HERTA in just 4 starts on the Pacific coast.
Yeah, he's definitely dominating the series on that side. We'll move into race number 3, which is round number 5 of the F1600 Series, and once again we're going to start with Alex Keys. Watch closely here.
Yeah, Keys is going to have to pray to the start gods. He just keeps having issues on these race starts. This time apparently gets hit from behind, but somehow keeps 3rd place going into turn 1.
And Keys recovers and shows some great action ahead.
HERTA driving on the limit, filling his radiators there with sand.
And Keys shows us that he's still trying to keep up here but all over the place.
Yeah, Formula Drift crowd would like that one.
We're about to move up to Joey Bickers, who has trying to get past his teammate Colton Herta.
These PR1 cars, Jason, would trade the lead back and forth for the extent of the race at Buttonwillow. Now Herta just sort of ahead of Bickers. They would, as I said, go back and forth a number of times.
Yep, we move up to Herta, who's trying to get away from his teammate, but really just could not get far enough away.
It's hard to pull a gap in these cars. They're so alike. It really comes down to the drivers, and there's some good talent on the West Coast right now.
And as we said, Bickers was able to get back past Herta, but now Herta's trying to get that lead back.
And Herta would get around Bickers for the lead. Now, no wings on these cars. They can run very close together. Herta takes a pass, and another win at Buttonwillow. 3 wins in 5 races for the aspiring talent there. And now, as we're going to move to the results screen here, Bickers, of course, wins round 3 ahead of Herta and Evans, who had a great performance. Herta would log the fastest lap at just over 1 minute and 50 seconds in the F1600 race at Buttonwillow. But Bickers, you know, first win of the year in essentially his debut weekend in the Miguel chassis at PR1 Motorsports. Colton Herta, as you saw, took the round 4 victory, his second win of the Pacific F1600 season here in Focus, ahead of Bickers and Alex Keys. That's the podium from the first race you're seeing in the background. And the fastest lap of round 4 would go to Herta yet again. Round 5, Herta around Bickers for the win there in the closing stages of the race. Alex Keys, he would fall back and finish 4th ahead of teammate Andrew Evans. This time, however, it was Bickers with the fastest lap at Buttonwillow.
Oh, nice. Here we are, the long front stretch of the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana for another triple header weekend, round 6, 7, and 8 of the Pacific F1600 series. Colton Herta won round 6, nipping Joey Bickers by 0.17 of a second. Here we are in round 7, and as you can see, this long front straightaway drifting becomes an issue.
Drafting becomes an issue, Jason, as Joey Bickers is in 4th.
You don't want to do any drifting on this long front, don't you?
No, probably not the best idea. Now, Bickers going backwards here at the start, and this is a prime example of the pocket of air on a super speedway. Cars all over the place going into the infield road course section. And Bickers there, pretty good on the brakes, 2 spots.
No, absolutely. And typically when we talked about
drafting,
not drifting, drafting, you end up with this situation of not being able to run close in the corners because of the aero, but these cars don't have those problems.
Yeah, no wings on the F1600 cars on the West Coast as we stay on board with Joey Bickers. And 1, 2, 3 here, Alex Keys briefly in the lead, fending off Colton Herta. And now Bickers trying to get around Herta, so this is a good opening lap at Fontana.
Right, and we've talked a lot about Alex Keys, but we haven't talked about him in the lead, so this is really impressive to see him out front.
Yeah, well, until then, actually, as Herta goes inside, but Keys would lead there on the opening lap for a little bit and would find his way into the lead a few times during the Fontana triple header for the Pacific guys.
Here's a question for you now with drafting like this, coming to the start-finish line on the final lap. Would you want to be first or second?
That's a good question. I'd probably want to be in second, but you have to, it's all about the timing with the draft. And oh, there's Herta over the front of Bickers there. Now Herta in the lead, Bickers in a second, 1, 2 for PR1 coming on the front straightaway at Fontana.
Yeah, and it's really neat to see the way this track's set up. It's set up with cones up. Speaking of which.
Oh yeah, in the air. Now Bickers pounding Herta here for the lead.
Yep, and there's still some drafting as we go back on board with Alex Keys.
Yeah, and this is turn 1 at Fontana on the super speedway portion of the racetrack. 3 wide, here we go, Miguel, Spectrum, Miguel. And this is cool. This is a game of chicken, I guess, on the brakes. Bickers there again. Another 2 cars on the brakes into the infield section.
Yeah, that's a game of chicken. If one person loses, everyone loses. We go back to Andrew Evans in a later battle for 3rd place.
Evans would take 3rd there briefly from Alex Keys. They would fall behind the PR1 cars. Keys would get around Evans again, who finished 3rd and round off the podium.
And now to the finish. Here's Colton Herta. If you look in his rearview mirror, you will see Bickers coming up, but not able to get right past, and Herta was able to take the win. Now to race 3, round number 8. We're on board with Bickers.
Bickers there. Oh, HERTA goes right around, and they would battle throughout the race again as the PR1 Magals with the Honda motors just went at it for the whole race.
Yeah, they're pretty much keeping it on. So keeping it on here in round number 8 as we go to HERTA, who's in second place, trying to get back by BICKERS.
Yeah, again with the draft, it's almost a complete gamble of where you're going to be, and you almost have to work backwards if you want to mathematically time it so you're in second on the last lap.
And in a second here, we'll have a picture of HERTA in the lead, getting passed by BICKERS on the inside.
They put on a good show at Fontana. People that showed up to watch probably enjoyed it, and again, PR1 1-2, an impressive performance for this team.
All right, so here's a treat for you. Here is the finish. We have COLTON HERTA trying to get past BICKERS at the stripe. Does he do it? Can't see it from that camera angle, but no, he does not. You'll see it from a different camera angle, which will show you a little bit of a celebration by Joey BICKERS. So you'll actually get to see this from 2 angles here as we go on board with Joey BICKERS at the finish line.
Just a couple hundredths of a second again separate them. You can see HERTA and BICKERS' rearview mirror pull out. You can see BICKERS' helmet turn a little. He's looking to see which nose is ahead, and it's his.
And
no Vettel finger.
He gets a fist pump, no Vettel finger.
Yeah, HERTA would win round 6, as we mentioned, and HERTA actually had the fastest race lap in all 3 races at Fontana, round 6, 7, and 8. HERTA with 2 wins, BICKERS with 1. Good showing by the rest of the field. The championship gets even more interesting now as HERTA leads with 245 points compared to BICKERS with 214 points. As we look at BICKERS there on the podium, Alex Keys sitting 3rd in the points at 146 points.
Yeah, now let's take a look at the Formula F1600 schedule. They did Thunderhill, Buttonwillow, and Fontana. They will be going back to Buttonwillow on 2 different occasions, and Las Vegas. Those will be covered in focus in our championship edition. Oh, look at here. We take in focus to Road America for the SCCA Majors June Sprint for the last lap between Tim Couts and Steve Bamford and Monty. What great action here on the last lap.
Tim Couts, reigning national SCCA champion, Piper Honda versus Steve Bamford in the Magal Honda. You saw this in focus in episode 1 this season. At COTA, the result was a little bit different. This time, Bamford stalked Couts the whole race, pulled out outside turn 14, last corner, last lap, going to line. Bamford edged Couts by just a few inches and took the win at the June Sprints.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, that'll go down in history, in the SCCA history. It's one of the best finishes ever at Road America in the June Sprints. Looking at the results now, Steve Bamford, first major U.S. Majors Tour victory ahead of Couts, Andrew Benzer, and Jeffrey Bartz there in 4th.
What great action today on F1600 in Focus, where you saw the best action from the F1600 Formula F Championship Series, the Pacific F1600 Championship Series, and the SCCA U.S. Majors. This has been episode 2, the F1600 in Focus mid-season report. Glad that you were here with us. Also, thanks to Honda Performance Development for all the help that they give us. For our Formula F insider, Monty Matheson, I am Jason Dukes, and we will see you on episode 3 of F1600 in Focus, our summer swing.